Hi there, 6th grade. Mrs. Martin here with your March book talk, getting ready for spring break and hopefully checking out some new books before you head off for a little time away. Before we get into the book talk today, I wanted to talk a little about the fact that this might be a time when you're feeling like you've hit a reading slump. Maybe reading is not what you're into right now, or maybe you've been reading a whole bunch and you're just not really finding that next good book. This happens for people who read all the time, and it happens for those who, maybe have kind of run out on a series or they're tired of reading the same old thing. And so I thought I'd just suggest a few possible ways to get out of that slump. I'm not going to read this list to you. You can do that. But I will point out just a couple things that I thought might be possible ideas. One there at the top is to reread an old favorite. Maybe there's a book from elementary school that was read aloud to you, or that you read, the whole series, or maybe it's a book that you read, 7 or 8 times, maybe more, and you haven't gone back to it for a while. It would be a great time if you're in a slump right now and can't find something to read. Go back to a book that you loved to read at one point, even if it's from many years ago. Reread that one. There's something about sparking that love of reading something that then can help you to find something new to read. It kind of reignites that love of reading for us, and go back to something that you loved before. Maybe just checking out a book list, an award winner, best-selling list. Even though I haven't done any book talk that focuses on that, there are so many lists out there where I can provide you with some ideas. Of course, they're on a lot of those lists for reasons, that involve, people voting. They're on there for a variety of different reasons. And so there might be some great books that you haven't even heard of that would be terrific to pick off of that. Maybe even reading the same book as someone else, maybe a family member, whether it's someone you're living with right now or someone at a distance. A friend, could be someone here at school, or it could be, again, someone that you haven't seen for a while. But a great way to spark some conversation is to read the same thing they're reading. And then, whether it's through Zoom or over the phone, even just texting, that way you can talk a little bit about it. Sometimes it's even fun to talk with someone about a book that they are really loving and you're not, or the other way around. I hope that something on here, if you are in that slump, might give you an idea, something that sparks something. And I promise you, even if you're someone who loves to read, you will hit some of these slumps on occasion. And anyway, hope that gives you just some ideas. If you're not in a reading slump right now, fantastic. But maybe you will come up to one where you're just not finding something to read. This might give you a little bit of a jump start. Speaking of, finding a book to read or getting out of that rut, I want to remind people that we do have things changing all the time on this Destiny Discover catalog. This top banner, is always changing. Right now it has Mad About Basketball for March Madness. We've got all basketball titles, fiction, nonfiction, graphic novels. And again, this usually gets changed about every week or two. So you can always be looking here to see, it's going to pop up with some covers that maybe you've never seen before, or some that may look familiar. But anyway, it gives you something new to think about and maybe some new ones to check out. Don't forget, you can always look under topics by genre. So if you know that you love to read science fiction or you love funny books, there's even 2 separate sections here. There's humorous fiction and there's short reads that are humorous. So you can take a look there. Remember, when you click on those, it then brings you into all the books under that topic. There's also collections. So the collections, again, are all of the banners that we've already done up at the top. They're just then broken down into the different categories. So the Let It Snow, those were all books that focused on winter in some way. New and notable, those are all the newest books that we've added to our library within the last few months. Okay, so with that, let's talk about some specific books to add to your book list today. The first one's historical fiction, Bud Not Buddy by Christopher Paul Curtis, one of my favorite historical fictions for young adults. This book is just so fun. I think it has so much to offer, not only from the historical standpoint, but it also has a little bit of mystery to it. It has humor. There's some suspense built into the book. It's just a really fun read. It's not surprising to me at all that Curtis won an award for this book. So picture it. It's 1936. We're set in Flint, Michigan, and we've got a character who goes by Bud, not Buddy. That's very clear in the opening chapters. He wants everyone to know to call him Bud, not Buddy. And that's, of course, where the title comes from. We're going to see a quick little trailer about the book, and then I'll tell you a little bit more. All right, so as you can see, Bud is an orphan, and he is searching for his dad. His mother never told him who his dad was, just left this kind of piece of paper advertising a man and his band, and he's using that as a way to try and find his dad. He's also decided he's going to create this list of rules and things for having a funner life and making a better liar out of yourself. And he uses that as kind of a guidebook along his journey as he meets different people, and he adds to that list, which is really pretty funny. Bud's going to use this flyer to try and figure out who his dad is, find his dad, and nothing is going to stop him along the way. And he's going to meet people throughout the journey, and they're, of course, going to help him try to find his dad, too. That's the story. It really does have something for everyone, a little mystery, a little adventure, a lot of humor, and, of course, the historical pieces of the Great Depression. I'd tell you I love you, but then I'd have to kill you. This is the first book in a mystery series by Allie Carter, such a long title, too. Cammie's a student at an academy for exceptional young women, and the school seems like a normal school if that school offered, advanced martial arts in PE, if they offered chemical warfare in science, if kids also got extra credit for breaking CIA codes in their computer class. They pretend as though they're just a school for geniuses, right? Girls who are exceptional, girls who have exceptional intelligence. Well, it's one step beyond that. This is actually a school for spies. Cammie is fluent in 14 languages. She also could hurt someone in 7 different ways, maybe even go beyond hurting them if need be. What she doesn't know how to do is meet an ordinary person, a guy, and act like an ordinary girl in a relationship. She falls for this guy that she meets, and he thinks she's just an ordinary teenage girl. And she has to pretend as though that's who she is, even though she knows everything about him, because guess what? She's training to be a spy. That's her job. That's what she does. How would you act like you don't know all those things, like you don't know 14 languages, and just act like a normal teenager? This is the first book in the series. There's, of course, a mystery at the heart of this first book. Super enjoyable for any reader. Try these out by Carter. The Face on the Milk Carton by Caroline Cooney. This book has been around for a long time, and you know it because of the way they're using this milk carton. But I tell you, this story stands up. This story is still as good today as it was back when it was written. A long time ago, when people went missing, they used to put the faces of those missing people, kids often, on milk cartons like you'd get at lunch in the cafeteria. 15-year-old Janie is our main character, and she is sitting in her cafeteria at school when she is staring at this picture of a little girl who's was three, in this picture. And she's staring at it because she can't help but notice how much that little girl looks like her. But that's impossible because, of course, Janie's 15, she's right there in the cafeteria, she left her house that day, her parents were there, none of that makes any sense, so of course it can't be her, right? But yet, she has this suspicion that it is her. And in fact, the more she starts to think about it, the more some things begin to not add up. For example, her parents always told her they didn't have any pictures of her up until the age of 4, because they didn't have a camera until then. And that reason made sense, but now it seems a little bit like kind of a feeble excuse. And Janie begins to piece a couple of other things together and wonders, is it possible that she is that missing girl on the milk carton? And if so, then how on earth is she with her parents right now, and what exactly is happening? This is the story about what happened more than 12 years ago to Janie. The Face on the Milk Carton. This is a gripping page-turner. Try this one out by Cooney. I couldn't help but throw in at least one basketball story to all my book talks this time around. I chose for this class Nikki on the Line by Barbara Carroll Roberts. By the way, with March Madness of books, don't forget about filling out your bracket, doing some voting on Schoology. We're doing all that here before we head into spring break, so be sure that you're participating in that if you'd like. We also have tons of basketball books up on our shelves right now, sitting on top of the shelves. So stop down. We've got over 100 basketball books, fiction, nonfiction, graphic novels. We'd love to help you find something. This one's about Nikki, who dreams of being a basketball star, WNBA, whatever it takes. She wants to take this all the way. She's 13 now, and it feels like she's headed in the right direction because she is selected to play on a really elite level club team. But now she's playing on this team with stronger, faster girls. She's not the best point guard on the team any longer. In fact, she's not even a point guard. So she is struggling a little bit, and her confidence is starting to diminish as she is no longer the best player out there. For those of you who have been involved in anything competitive, you know how that can feel. You were the best, suddenly you aren't because you're playing with people who are, either equally skilled or maybe even better. The stress continues to pile on. Nikki's best friend is spending more and more time with another girl on the team, and that's making her feel bad. Her science teacher has assigned this family tree project, and the only way she could do it is if she reveals a really embarrassing secret that she does not want to get into. And so it's looking like she might fail her class. And she's having to babysit her brother all the time, which is taking up a lot of that friend time that she'd like to be spending. So stress level is way up, and Nikki just doesn't know if she's going to be able to hold it all together. Read this book to find out if she's going to be able to compete at this higher level or if everything's going to fall apart. Lots of basketball action in Nikki on the Line. A Good Kind of Trouble by Lisa Moore Remay. This one's been popular in the library since we got it in last year. Shayla's 12, and she only wants to follow the rules. That's in her nature. That's just the kind of kid she is. But she gets to junior high, and it feels like all the rules have changed. She doesn't really know who her best friends are anymore. Her older sister has been involved in Black Lives Matter, and Shay doesn't really feel like that's for her. She supports what Hannah's been doing, but after experiencing a powerful protest, Shay realizes she also would like to get involved. She sees that some rules are worth breaking and decides she's going to wear an armband to school in support of the Black Lives Movement. Everything's going well until everyone begins to take sides, and Shay is given an ultimatum. She then is having to make a big decision. Is it worth doing the wrong thing or feeling scared about doing the right thing? What is it like to stir up what she's calling a good kind of trouble? Try out this book. You're going to absolutely love it. You'll fall in love with these characters and the emotions that they're going through. And it's, of course, so relevant to so much of what's happening today. My last book is part of a series, as you can see. I wanted to screenshot there. This is, if you're looking for a new series and you love fantasy books, the Guardians of Ga'Hoole series could be the next one for you. Catherine Lasky creates these books that are adventurous, suspenseful. They've got the heart to them because she creates characters that you just absolutely are rooting for. Soren is born in the forest of Taito, I believe is how it's pronounced. And it's a nice, peaceful kingdom, and the barn owls all live there together. But, of course, you can't have a good fantasy book series without evil lurking somewhere, and that evil is threatening to shatter that kingdom's peace. Soren is captured, taken away to a dark and forbidding canyon, and in order to escape, both he and his friend Gylfi know that the only way out is up. But in order to do that, to escape, they're going to have to do something they've never done before, and that's fly. This story begins this magical journey where Soren and Gylfi meet two other owls, and the four of them band together to figure out what is the truth and how are we going to protect this owl world from an incredible amount of danger. The first book is called The Capture, and you can check this one out along with the others in the series in our fantasy section. I hope something I talked about today either sparked for you a book you might want to read, put on hold, or maybe even made you, as I'd said before, think about a book that you haven't read in a long time and that you might want to go back to reread an old favorite. Let's hope if you've been in a reading slump, we're going to get you out of that and get you something great to read before spring break. In the meantime, let me know if I can help you with anything in terms of a recommendation, and happy reading.